Hello, good morning again, afternoon or evening, depending on when you will see this video and where on earth you are. I want to explain a very significant concept that cuts across what we do in maths, chemistry, and physics. I've discovered that the reason why a lot of us struggle after remembering different equations in form of formula or formulae in physics and even in chemistry is because a lot of us do not even understand this concept of significant figures. For those of us who are fifth graders, from your fifth grade till your 11th grade, you'll be required to work with this: your maths, physics, and chemistry. There are times when you'll be asked to work something out. Maybe you're asked to find the area or the volume of a 2 or 3D shape, the volume of a 3-dimensional shape and the area of a 2-dimensional shape. Or you're asked to look for gravitational potential energy or whatever you're asked to do mathematically. And they will ask you, leave your answer correct to 2 significant figures, correct to 3 significant figures, correct to 4 significant figures, as the case may be. And a lot of us wonder and miss it. So if you stay with me till the end, I'm going to expose and help refresh our minds for those of us that might have forgotten on this. When you hear the word significant figure, how will you know that a figure or a number is significant? Well, there is a big idea. Look at the big idea. The big idea says that the first significant figure, which we write as SF, is the first non-zero digit. The first non-zero. So if a digit is a non-zero, it means it has to be 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So from the numbers 1 to 9, they are all non-zero. Non-zero means not zero. Now, a figure, your significant figure starts, or the first significant figure begins with the first number that is a non-zero. That means if I have 0, 0, 0, 3, 1, this is where the first non-zero begins. And this becomes my first significant figures. What the zeros are doing here, these zeros here, we don't regard them as significant. We just call them placeholders. I said placeholders. All right. So if the first non-zero digit is 3, and this is where the first significant figure starts, it means this is significant, this is significant. If I add another 0 here, this 0 is also significant, so that there are 3 significant figures here. All right, so what I want to do with us right now quickly is to help us understand or know just by heart how to identify significant figures for whole numbers, 1, 2, decimal numbers, 3, mixed numbers. For whole numbers, for decimals, and for mixed numbers. You are given this whole number. Of course, this is a whole number, and this is 4 digits. So if this is the unit, this is tens, this is 100, and this is 1000. So this is 4,730. For those of us who are fifth graders that they will ask to write figures in words and words in figures, we actually write figures in words and words in figures, taking advantage of place value. So that if you know the place value of a number, you can write it in words and in figures. Just knowing that this is unit, this is tens, this is 100, and this is the 1000. This is actually the unit of 1000. So that this is 430. But see, look at this 430 here. And this 4, look at this 4,730. And this 4,730. These 2. There is a visible decimal notation here, and there is none here. So if you're asked how many significant figures you have here, please remember we said that the first significant figure is the first non-zero. And what we mean by non-zero is numbers from 1 to 9. So this is the first significant figure, this is the second significant figure, and this is the third significant figure. You see this 0 here? This 0 could just be standing as a placeholder. So to be fair to us, there are 3 significant figures here. 3 significant figures. But in this case, I'm still working with 4,730. But there is actually a decimal point here. There is a notation there. It goes like so. It tells us here. When you see something like this, you know that the number could actually go on, and you have something. So for here, this is 1, the first significant figure, second, third, and fourth. So that there are 4 significant figures here. Please take note. At this point, it will be very convenient for us to write 3 significant figures, because it is possible that 0 here is standing as a placeholder. The point is, the first significant figure is the first non-zero digit. That is the numbers from 1 to 9. Alright, when I say from, it means 1 inclusive and 9 inclusive. So that you know that there is a difference between when I say the numbers between 0 and 9 and the numbers from 0 and 9, from 0 to 9. All right. Then in this case, the first non-zero is this 2. This is the first non-zero, and this is the second non-zero. These other zeros following this 210,000, there is a chance that they are all placeholders. Please, there are 2 significant figures here. But in this case, because you're seeing this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the first non-zero. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that we have 6 significant figures here. And of course, these zeros here are placeholders. This is the first non-zero. This is the second non-zero. And it is possible that this is a placeholder, so that we have 2 significant figures here, as the case may be. So it is very important for us to take note of this when we work with whole numbers, so that we are not confused. You know, there are times that you can have, as in this case, where you have 2 zeros before the non-zero and another 0 after the non-zeros. We know already that the zeros here are just placeholders. They are placeholders. But this other 0 here, it's possible too that this is just acting as a placeholder, so that to be safe and fair, we just say that there are 2 significant figures here. All right, if we have said that, then we're also going to look at decimal numbers. Let's try and understand how to write or how to identify how many significant figures present in a decimal number. We're still following the big idea, and the big idea makes it clear that your first significant figure is actually where you see the first non-zero digit. The first non-zero. So anywhere you see any number from 1 to 9, which are all non-zeros, the first place you see it in its number set becomes your first significant figure. So in 0.00375, 0.00375, this is 0. This is 0. This is the unit. We also have 0 here. 0 is 0 for the 10th, 0 for the 100th. This is 10,000. So this is where we have the first non-zero, which is here. This one, they are actually, they form decimal places actually, but the first significant figure, which is the first non-zero, starts at the 1000th position. So we have 1, 2, 3, so that we can say that there are 3 significant figures here. So 3SF, 3 significant figures. Then this is where I have my first non-zero, just at the first position after the decimal notation, or after the decimal point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, the zeros in between. This zero here is between a non-zero and another non-zero, and this is also between 2 non-zeros, so that the digits here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all significant, and we say that there are 5 significant figures here. This case, notice what we have here. Here we have 4 significant figures, and in this case we have 3 significant figures. Why? Because notice where we have the first non-zero. The first non-zero is here. This not significant. This significant. So we have 3 significant figures here, beginning from this 100th position, which is number 4. So this means there are 3 significant figures here. So it is very easy for you to just look at a number, whether it is a whole number or a decimal number, and identify how many significant figures are present in the number you have. Not every digit in a number set is significant. So how do you know how many of the figures are significant? Remember the rule, or the big idea, that the first significant figure is the first non-zero digit. So anywhere you see your first non-zero, anything after it is significant. But where you have whole numbers like this, and after a non-zero, there are other 0, 0, 0, 0, zeros attached. Watch at the unit point. If there is no dot, a decimal notation ending that, then you should know that it's possible that the zeros there are placeholders, so that we are not confused. That's why I said in this figure 210,000 that there are just 2 significant figures, because these zeros here are acting as placeholders. But there are cases where we might be given mixed numbers. What I mean by mixed numbers or mixed numerals, you could have a whole number like this and a decimal. Numbers like this are called mixed numbers, or you can say they are mixed numerals. So if we have these mixed numbers like this is 23.025. In 23.025, I have how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. But there is a decimal notation here separating the whole from the decimal. That's why they are mixed numerals or mixed numbers. All right, so the first non-zero we have here is actually before the decimal notation, and this is where we have the first non-zero. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 significant figures in this. So here we have 5 significant figures here. The same rule applies to this, where we have 1, the first non-zero. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that there are 4 significant figures here. And here, the first non-zero is this. In fact, we all have non-zeros here, so that there are 3 significant figures. If you understand what I've been explaining, the point I've made so far, tell me how many significant figures are here. It is also important that we note that there is actually a difference between significant figures and decimal places. In this case, 23.025. In 23.025, we have agreed that there are 5 significant figures. If there are 5 significant figures, how many decimal places are in 23.025? Stay with me. I'll bring you the next video, and I'll explain how to identify decimal places, because in most cases the number of significant figures does not always translate to the number of decimal places, so that you will not say, oh, because there are 5 significant figures here, then there should be 5 decimal places. No. So stay with me and be on the lookout for my next upload.